Two of my favorite parables that Jesus taught are the prodigal son and the hidden treasure. There's no doubt that I gravitate towards these two passages due to personal experience. I want to define a parable and explain its purpose. I will also share relevant testimonies and take some time to go through the scriptures. Helps Word Studies references Strong's Greek Concordance for the word parable. It breaks the word down into para, which is close beside, with, and ballo, to cast. For a complete origin quote of a parable is a teaching aid cast alongside the truth being taught. This casts additional light by using an arresting or familiar analogy, which is often fictitious or metaphorical, but not necessarily. These lessons relate everyday objects and situations to the truth of the kingdom. Stephen C. Singleton wrote, "For seekers, a parable caused them to think more deeply than they would otherwise and help them to remember the lesson in a striking way. For people close to Jesus, parables only harden their hearts, but functions were part of Jesus' purpose in telling stories." We see a similar narrative in 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 4, when Nathan delivers a periodic tale that invokes an emotional response from David that he would never forget. Written in Luke 15, verses 11 through 32, the prodigal son tells of a young man that has succumbed to the illusion of lavish lifestyles and wasteful or reckless extravagance. Over the years, I have heard many refer to themselves as prodigals, having left the father's house, coming to awareness of their situation, and returning to their father with repentance. I have turned my back to God, and as the story details, as I began my journey home, Jesus came running to meet me. This parable uses inheritance, an unclean pig pen, authoritative clothing, and a fatted calf to resonate with the audience. We learn that our poor decisions do not automatically separate us from the love of God, and that through repentance, restoration to prominence and authority is available. There is even a lesson at the end for the faithful to rejoice with those that have decided to return to life everlasting. Matthew 13:44 very quickly illustrates an important point as it reads, "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a treasure hidden in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field." The pulpit commentary finds it probable that the delivery of this parable was to the disciples, as they alone would appreciate the value of what they had found. Ellicott's commentary for English readers remarks, "Probably no parable in the whole series came more home to the imagination of the disciples than this. Every village had its own story of men who had become suddenly rich by finding some hidden hoard that had been hastily concealed in a time of war or tumult. I attended an apostolic Sunday school until about the age of 12. Upon my return, some 9 years later, I had to know why this church was right and that the church down the street was not. When the revelations of our apostolic doctrine began to open up to me, I sold all that I had. I jumped into this wonderful life without reservation. I had found a great treasure. Relationships and distractions would not keep me from enjoying this great truth as an appetite for biblical knowledge overwhelmed the man that I had become. I truly appreciate the value of this treasure in this field. I am thankful that a merciful God allowed me to discover it in a way that would be life-changing on a personal level. I may not have listened to his voice had it been presented in another format or capacity, but making the connection is what parables are all about." In conclusion, the master teacher was well aware of the human brain's ability to attach information to an experience. Simply stated, a truth was not enough, but by relating ideas to practical and emotional exploits, Jesus solidified the concept in their hearts. The spoken word became a part of who they were. It seemed odd to speak in parables, but the effectiveness is evident when we read the Gospels, written 30 years or more after Jesus had articulated the sermons. Even today, preaching utilizes relevant stories to relate truths found within the Scriptures. Parables are timeless, and I hope that one day we can all sit around the throne and listen to Jesus explain the mysteries of the universe with a story.